Welcome to the Business Titans podcast, where we talk everything to do with strategy on growing and scaling your business. I'm your host, Oscar Chavez here, and I'm very proud to introduce you all to Mark Sephton. Say hi, Mark.
Hi.
Awesome. So Mark Sephton is a personal mentor to entrepreneurs. His mission is to help others and help them grow into global markets while working with startups and millionaire entrepreneurs around the world. Mark is the author of 2 personal development books, Inside Job and The Plot Twist, and we're about to talk about his exciting next release, which you're going to hear all about. He's also the host of the TV show One More Round. He's a regular contributor to established media platforms such as Entrepreneur Magazine and Brainz Magazine, as you can see here in the back, which is how we got connected. He's a speaker for corporate events, entrepreneurship summits, major conferences. Mark's expertise in personal and professional development has positioned him as the expert in the industry, resulting in transformational experiences for audience, clients, and businesses alike. Drawing from personal experiences, Mark has taken the essence of what is experienced to build a business that helps draw out the magnificent potential that each person beholds, using his GPS system to highlight blind spots, efficiencies, and deficiencies. How are you going today, Mark?
I was going to say, if you normally do a 30-minute podcast, we've just done it in my bio.
I try to speak fast, but not too fast. So I end up, usually breaking out into a rap or something. But look, thanks so much for joining us. And I'm going to add a little bit more bio to that. Mark is one of the most incredible people that I've come across in all of my journeys of life. He's just such a ball of energy, such a fun-loving guy. This guy has incredible wisdom to impart. So I'm going to ask you the first question now. Now that we've done the bios, let's get out of the way. Let's ask you the first question. You, my friend, have interviewed some of the most successful people on the entire planet, and we all know your network is your net worth. So what are the things that you see as trends with these high-performance interviews, and what kind of inside secrets can you give us on what's really happening in those circles and how we can use that to enhance our lives?
I think one thing that really has shone through when I've interviewed people that are top of their game has been their ability to not take things personally and actually know when they need to get out of their own way. I find that a lot of people, they get so consumed with their business, they make their business all about them, and they don't make it about their customer or the client or the one that consumes their product. So for me, Oscar, I've always found, from when I've interviewed those that are household names, whether it's, the founder of Ugg Boots or Pictionary, or whether it's somebody like Marissa Peer or somebody like that, for me, it's their ability to be able to, step aside. They, in particular, product-based entrepreneurs, they really know kind of their limits as to what they can give their business, and are not afraid to then get outside help or even pass that business on, even sell that business, because they know that they've taken it to a space or a place where they feel they've reached their limit. And I find that fascinating, because most of us, we see our business as our baby. And so that idea of giving it away, but I guess in some cases, it's just like when you've had children, you invest all your life in them, all your energy, you teach them everything that you know. And then eventually you'll hand over, your daughter's hand in marriage to her husband, and I think that's very symptomatic of what I've noticed. It's people's ability to not take things too personally, to know their own limit and know when to either step aside or bring in additional help. They're the ones that seem to have the trend that you're talking about.
Yeah, great. And it sounds to me like what you're saying, there's a bit of a game that's being played to really understand where the limits are, making sure that their business isn't fully about them. What has it done for you personally? I mean, we all know that our network equals our net worth, and our environment creates success. Now, you've been one of the guys on the entire planet that continually pushes himself, not pushes himself, but gets around the right people. I mean, you look at the people that you've interviewed for Brainz, and also the highlights list in terms of Jim Quick, Marissa Peer, Oprah Winfrey, and the list. The list goes on and on, right? So people at the absolute top of the game. What has that done for you personally? And do you agree with your network creates your network and your environment creates your success? But what has that type of environment done for you personally, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I love people, Oscar. I'm fascinated by human behavior, and I'm fascinated by people's, desire and hunger for success, however that looks. And when I'm really thinking back over all the people that I've interviewed, I obviously I've always framed it in a way that I want to get the best out of them. And some of the people that I've interviewed have said, Mark, that is the best interview I've ever had. And I've been interviewed like thousands of times. And that really, for me, is a feather in my cap, because for me, that's the biggest compliment that I can get as somebody who likes to interview people. But I'm really focused, Oscar, on people's motivation and on the core of their identity. And I'm really keen to know, what do they do in their everyday that impacts, the end result, or their end product. So for me, being around those people, I take it as a chance also to educate myself. Though I will be honest, Oscar, and at least I can say this is true with regards to when I did radio for 6.5 years, and I literally interviewed thousands of entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and creatives. There was probably only 6 out of maybe 1,000 that taught me something I didn't know. So, I mean, we consume a lot, don't we? Through books, through Google. I'm fairly self-educated in that sense, and I do make friends with those that are in places of influence. And I think it's because I treat them first as a human. I never go gaga goo over celebrities. Like, they shit like the rest of us. If they cut, they still bleed, So I don't have that mentality of like, oh, it's this person or that person. They still wipe their ass, and I think that's something that I think has enabled me to get closer to some people, because I really do treat them as a human being. I mean, I remember one day I started painting the room of a very well-known footballer, soccer, and I just started painting his living room with him. And he bought me a Chinese, and we hung out. And you know what? We became friends, and we've stayed in touch, though probably not as much as I'd like, but, still have a connection there. And, really, just really interesting just to be able to get into their psyche. But you have to build that trust. And in terms of, is my network my net worth? I mean, I love people. I know that I leave money on the table, but I'll never leave a human being at my table. That's something that I prioritize and pride myself in. I'm not all about the money. So I think, for me, my relationships is where I take the most pride. My connections, my ability to articulate, build a rapport, to do life with people, whether at the top end or at the grassroots. For me, my worth is more in those relationships. So definitely, I think it definitely has an essence to it, that my network is my net worth. But then I think it depends where you're looking. If you look at my bank account, there's a lot more people on this planet that have got way more money than me. But if you look in my heart, I think I'm as rich as anybody. I'm a millionaire.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the important part, right? It's about what's going on in the heart. What is it that really motivates you? I mean, you're the king of Clubhouse. I mean, you've got the connections, you've got, the ability to just connect with anybody on the planet that is of high performance. What is it that that really motivates and inspires you about the everyday? How is it that you get up in the morning and keep doing what you do, Mark?
Yeah, well, I always think that all of us need a northern star, or we need a lighthouse. I call it a lighthouse. My mission, my heartbeat. I think I live intentionally. I'm very focused on what it is that I want people to say of me when I leave this earth. I'm very mindful of not what I leave behind for my children, but what I leave in them. I'm very intentional in terms of I want to make sure that every interaction, whether it's somebody in the supermarket or it's you, I want to give something, whether it's energy, an idea, an aspiration. I want to give something positive that you feel better after our interaction than when you did before we said hello. And for me, that's what makes me keep turning up. It also makes me turn up because of a school story that I had when I was 13 years old. I came from a broken family, which I found my childhood challenging. I was bullied a lot because I come for 8, I think, just to deal with some of that heartache. So I got bullied a lot, both verbally and physically. A teacher called Mr. Aldridge came to my school. He was about 6'6", and predominantly our school was a football playing school, as in soccer. And that's my first love. I love football and soccer. But some of my bullies were on that team, and I just really didn't overly enjoy, some of that sense of being in that environment. So when they brought basketball to the school, and Mr. Aldridge came along, I started attending on a Friday because it was mostly my friends that were going to these practices. And actually, it was through that the weight started to absolutely pour off me, like just pour off, because how intense basketball is, and all of a sudden I got a bit of confidence. And Mr. Aldridge, he said, you know what? He said, I've watched you. He said, the weight that you've lost, your dedication to these practices, and how much your teammates really respect and listen to you. Said, I want to make you the school basketball captain. And I tell you, that was the first time, Oscar, that anybody on planet Earth had seen a leader in me that I hadn't even seen in myself. I was a little boy bereft of confidence. Teachers used to compare me to my more academic sister. At parents' evening, they'd say to my parents, we wish Mark was more like his sister. It's just like, it's not, that was never my sister's fault, but that was the reality and the brutality of, and I really didn't overly enjoy that. But that was really kind of the trigger. And so I want to be Mr. Aldridge to others as he was to me.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that story. And you have an exciting book coming out very soon in the next few months, Mark of a Man. Does that, what is that to you? What is the mark of a man, Mark? And what is it that you really want to leave people with this book?
Yeah, I mean, I'm marketing it for men, but I know that there's so many women that will want to read it, and loads of women that have said, I'm going to buy this for my husband, my brother, my dad, my granddad, my uncle, my friend, whatever. But the essence of Mark of a Man is to help men be better men. And while I look and talk a little bit through the lens of the pain of going through a divorce from a man's perspective, because there's absolutely bugger all for men out there. If you think of magazines, there's only really Men's Health. And outside of that, we don't have anything. But women have, they have magazine for this, community for that, Facebook group for this, clinic for that. Men, we don't. We're always the bad guy when it comes to divorce. It doesn't matter. The man is always the one who's at fault. And it's not. He's not. It always takes 2 to make something work, always takes 2 to make something fail. So that's a massive news flash. Doesn't matter what's gone on, but 2 make it work, 2 make it fail, both responsible. And so for me, Mark of a Man is to help men understand their emotions. It's to help men really be able to express who they are. It's about the expectations of being a real man, because I think that really needs some increased identity. We don't know what a man really should look like these days. So I really wanted to make that picture clear. And I want to talk about the expectations and the responsibilities of being a man, what it's really like to hold space for somebody, what it's really like to speak to a woman, what it's really like to look at a woman, what it's really like to bring up children. So I'm really wanting to challenge men as well as to comfort men and well as to guide them. Let men know why they feel what they do, what it represents, and how do we transition from pain into a place of understanding and healing. So it's very holistic. It's very personal, as all my books are. I speak through real life stories. So I am the front and center of what I'm talking about here, because I think that's important to have that connection, have that vulnerability that builds that trust so that people can hear that which I'm saying.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And how do men find that healing? I mean, a lot of men were, I know this was the case for me in order to find that self-actualization, but emotions are weakness. And so therefore, we have this, outdated portrayal of what a man is. We do need something in the 21st century that is, what is a man supposed to be? What's our role in all this? How do we play a bigger part? What is that for you, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I'm the sort of man who wears a heart on my sleeve, and so, for me, I express out of the reality of my own heart and my own truth. So in terms of what a real man looks like for me, he's a man who protects, who nurtures, who guides, but owns and takes responsibility for his actions, that there's a degree of class, that his ability to listen, to accept responsibility, to apologize when he's done wrong, to not be so ego driven, but to be willing to show his belly, to show his vulnerability, even when, others may say, you've got to be strong here. For me, if you feel it, express it. If it's really in you, then, let it out. And for me, that's really crucial. I realized that during the first 6 months of me going through my divorce, I cried every day for 6 months. And that was necessary, because I believe that there's more sickness now in the human body because of emotional sickness that manifests in the physical than anything else. You've got to let that emotion out. And for me, showing emotion is strength. It isn't weakness. So for me, I think that's really important, that you have that in the essence of your life and the way that you express.
Yeah, I love that. And how do you balance that with? I remember getting some advice early on in my career, which was like, Oscar, don't wear your heart on the sleeve. I can tell you wear your heart on your sleeve. That's a bad thing in business. So how do you I mean, the world's changed obviously since back then, but how do you reconcile that? How do you reconcile? I mean, all these egocentric type of leaders that we all come across that run companies that are, more important than everybody else. Maybe they put people down. Maybe they're still a bit aggressive in their leadership styles. How do we deal with that as a man that does like to wear their heart on their sleeve, but sometimes we come across situations where there might be aggressive conflict? How do we do that? How do we handle that situation?
Yeah, I mean, that is an interesting one for me. I mean, there is people, like I said earlier, I know I leave money on the table, but I'll never leave a human life at the table. And there's people that do leave human people at the table, willing to take that bit of money, and for me, you're right. The world is changing, and the world more than ever, as you said, I'm on Clubhouse a lot. I listen to women in particular, and you know what their biggest message is for men? Be vulnerable. And when you think of business, it is people relating to people, regardless of what it is, your ability to connect, to build a rapport, to build trust, to build an understanding. For me, that is absolutely essential to being able to, go the next level. But I know even the way that I've built my business, it's a slow burner. I've been in business for myself for about 11 years now. And for me, it is something that's been short and steady. I haven't been cutthroat, but for me, I want to be able to sleep at night, Oscar. It blows my mind the way that some people conduct their business. I'm thinking I couldn't sleep. Honestly, I couldn't sleep charging that amount or that amount. I just couldn't, So for me, you got to be true to yourself. I always say you'll never break if you stay true to your values. And so for me, there's going to be some people that are listening to this. If you're the sort of person that wears your heart on your sleeve, wear your heart on your sleeve. And if you don't, then you really need to learn as well how to show your belly without losing your authority. But for me, in a world where there's loads of sharks, and there is that sense of, is this really legit? Because there's so much spam. And in some ways, I like the spam because it makes people like me look even better than what I am. When we have bad examples, it really does make my life a lot easier. Because I'm just thinking, this is easy to make friends because all you guys suck at making friends, And so for me, in some ways, I don't want everybody to take my advice. I want some people to still be clowns, to still be foolish, to still be money driven. And then there's people like me who love heart. And I tell you, it's a wonderful, because they make me and you look so much better than we are.
Yeah, life's so much more fulfilling when we really value other people and we step into our authentic selves. I mean, I know this from firsthand experience, going through the business of evolution of entrepreneurship, etc. I love when you talk about your GPS system to highlight blind spots, efficiencies, and deficiencies. You talk about magnificent potential. What is it that, do all of us have magnificent potential? If so, how do we begin to harvest this magnificent potential, Mark?
It's interesting because it's a bit like the law of attraction, right? Because I believe in the law of attraction, but I also know that if you just say, out loud 10 times, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, you're in cuckoo land to think, next week you're going to be a millionaire. I mean, give me a break. So it's like, magnificent potential, right? It's one of those, do we all have an opportunity to be fit in life? Yeah, I think we do, but you have to do the work. You have to put in the time on the track or in the gym, and you have to eat right, and you have to be regimented. You have to be consistent, and I kind of tie that back to the magnificent potential. Yes, everybody has the ability to be magnificent in their own way, but most people are too lazy or too scared to do those things, to get themselves in the gym, or get themselves on the track, whatever that looks like, to get the result. And, we see it even on Instagram. You see pictures of all these biceps and muscles and six packs, but nobody actually knows the pain and the everyday that they've had to go through to get to those. They just think, I'd like one of them, or I'd like this, and this is where the law of attraction drives me a bit nuts, because it's like, it isn't true. I honestly don't believe you can get anything you want in life, because if you could, we'd all have the stinking thing. So for me, I like to be a little bit more real. I believe that everything takes, work, or smarts, but the actions always got to underpin the desire, and the attraction. Like I said, you can't just keep saying I'm a millionaire till you're blue in the face, and all that's happened is you got a dry mouth as a result of it, and you're still a thousandaire. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on.
A thousandaire. I love it. I love it. Oh man. So what you're telling me is you're bursting everyone's bubble, because I'm sure the people that are listening to this go, idea of magnificent potential, that sounds amazing. I want that with no work at all. Like, I just want to step into my magnificent potential, but you're making it sound like there's a lot of hard work associated.
Yeah, because to be honest, Oscar, when you hurt most, you grow most, and most people don't want to hurt. I mean, if you think of a muscle, it's broken down in order to build itself up. If you want to be magnificent, you got to be broken a few times. You got to go through the mill a few times. You got to lose a few times. You got to get it wrong. You got to miss the mark. That's the only way you're really going to build that resilience, that magnificent potential. But yeah, you're in cuckoo land if you think that you can go through life, achieve some kind of depth without any kind of determination, hard work, resistance, obstacles, pain. And if I think of a skyscraper, when I go to New York and I see all the skyscrapers, I'm constantly thinking they're so high up. I wonder how low they had to go in order for the foundation to be able to hold the strength and the magnitude of that building. And, for me, it's like people want the grandiose, so they want the mountaintop. But are you willing to go through the foundations, the depth, the structure of the core of who you are, which is deep, which is sometimes painful, which takes lots of excavation, and shifting and moving, and that's the bit that I really want to press home today is, yeah, I mean, when I get up, I'm excited for life because I have the opportunity to be better than yesterday. I have the opportunity to impact another life, but I would say that my strength and my ability to reach people is because I have the contrast of knowing what it feels to be isolated, to be bullied, to be put aside, which is why now I'm so inclusive so mindful, so community driven, because you have the power of contrast. And the people that really impress me are those that don't forget where they came from. And the ones that really don't impress me are the ones that get all egotistical, get all arsey, and don't even remember actually their struggle. For me, that's the power is in the struggle. It's in your ability to, I say, you can never lead somebody out of something you've not been in yourself.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
So important.
So for the people that are watching this and think, you know what, I want to press into pain. I want to do the hard work. I want the pain of growth. How can people use your GPS system to really propel them into that ideal future of unfolding their magnificent potential?
Well, first of all, I've never actually opened my GPS to the masses. The only people that benefit from that is my clients. So if people really want to experience that, they have to work with me. It's not something that I've put anywhere. It's something that I've developed and evolved, listening and fine tuning based on, just case studies of me working with clients, listening to what they've been saying historically, and then building a framework which helps me understand human behavior. But it's based on 10 fundamentals that I believe makes up a person's basic DNA. And when I take them through this journey, as you said, it reveals blind spots, efficiencies, and deficiencies. It looks at actions, it looks at behaviors. And the reason I've done that is because this is what people will naturally coming to me with, Oscar. These are the pain points. These are the opportunities. These are the struggles. These are the breakthroughs. These are the things that matter. So I thought if I can create something that judges the health of these, then people are really going to understand where they need to really hone in, where they really need to have that real heartfelt focus. And maybe some things where they need to go a little deeper with maybe another profession, whether it's a psychologist, because I'm a big believer in you go to one, you glean as much as you can from that coach or mentor, and then you go to the next. And it's like a diet. Nobody should eat just from one person. You shouldn't just have Tony Robbins in your life. You shouldn't just have Brené Brown. You need the elements of each. It's like a diet so that you can really educate and get the nourishment, and that comes through, something like my GPS that says, this is where you are. This is where you want to go. And then let's get to work.
That's fantastic. I love that. And so for anyone that's watching this and they want to go to the next level, your environment does create your success. And there's no one that you want to get around more than Mark in the world. So if you want to go to the next level, then I highly suggest you reach out to Mark and talk about his GPS system and how you can unfold your own magnificent potential. Mark, how can people contact you if they say, you know what, I want to go to the next level, I'm willing to do the work? How would they contact you?
Yeah, marksefton.com. Nice and easy. I've got all my socials, all my links to different articles. People can book a 30-minute discovery call on there as well, because I love to just make sure that we are a good fit. Chemistry for me is so important. I don't work with everybody. If somebody jumps on a call and I'm not feeling it, I'm not going to work with you. I don't care whether you want to pay me loads of money, tough tits. For me, I want to make sure that I'm giving, the very best of myself to the people that I really believe in. So, for me, that's important. And also it's important that I'm right for you too, because, I'm a nice acquired taste, and if you like who I am, you're going to love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's important to also note for people watching, I love what you've just said then, because one of my philosophies is my job is not to take losers and turn them into winners. My job is to take winners and help them win even faster or even more efficiently. And I think that's exactly the same philosophy that you have based on your explanation of who you can work with. So if you're a winner, please reach out to Mark. If you're not a winner, then keep watching a lot of content, press into the hard work, do the mindset stuff, and listen to a lot of content that's available online from Mark and others as well. Mark, thank you very much for your time. Is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't as we wrap up?
No, I mean, I love having organic conversations, absolutely beautiful. Like you can throw anything at me and I'm ready to rock and roll. And I hope it's been of contribution to you and your community. And yeah, I'm open to connect. You can find me on Clubhouse, Twitter, Facebook, all those good places, Instagram, awesome.
Wonderful. All right. Thanks, Mark. Give me 1 sec. I'll just stop this. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I'll see you next time, and I will bring you another business titan who will help you get to the next level in your life. Thank you very much for watching.
Business titan.